California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law requiring social media companies to consider children's health. The law, the first of its kind in the United States, will affect platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Twitter that operate in California. They'll have to consider the health and well-being of children under a first of its kind bill signed into law on Thursday by the Canadian governor. Joining us to discuss further, CEO of Alpha African Advisory, Sanyade Okoli. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. And I think you're the best person to talk about this because you wear two hats as a chief executive and a parent. What do you make? In fact, I think we have a quote. Let's put up a quote from Gavin Newsom where he said that, we're taking aggressive action in California to protect the health and well-being of their kids. What do you make of what he signed into law?
Well, to be honest, I welcome it. The truth is, following the pandemic, the issue of emotional and mental well-being of children has come to the fore because so many of them have struggled. And for some, there has been this connection to social media, because if you think people were in lockdown, they were home, a lot of consumption of social media that didn't do the best for them, for their inner world. So it's not a surprise, and I welcome it.
Cool. Okay. So on the other side, there's I think his name is Chris Merschchen. He represents NetChoice. NetChoice is a company that represents a whole bunch of internet companies which have opposed the law. He says the law violates the First Amendment by chilling constitutionally protected speech and by infringing on the editorial rights of websites, platforms, and apps of all sizes and ideologies. What do you make of his argument?
I don't agree with it.
You don't? Okay.
The First Amendment says free speech, right?
Yep.
But it's like somebody coming into your home. Fine, they can have free speech, but you can choose whether they have free speech in your home or not.
Yes.
And just because you choose to have free speech does not mean I am obligated to listen to what you have to say. So this is about putting some kind of filter for what our children are consuming. And the truth is, we don't just have children under a certain age drink alcohol or children under a certain age smoking cigarettes.
Right.
So why do we think that we should take no care to what they're consuming in their insides? Okay.
I get what you're saying. Okay, so essentially, and the next issue that to point out here, and let's put up this quote again from Gavin Newsom, and then we'll put back the quote. Okay, yeah. So here is the age appropriate. Let's go through this now. So social media platforms must study products and features to be assessed by minors before release. And just for our viewers, this takes effect July of 2024. So they are giving the platforms some time to be able to adjust to this. They need to craft privacy policies in language that kids can understand. I think that's very interesting. I'll get your thoughts on that. They say geolocation tracking is banned unless minors are notified, and then there's a $7,500 fine per impacted child if the act is violated. So what do you think of those measures there?
So with the different stories you've just mentioned, right, I see a common theme, and that is responsibility. Companies having to take responsibility for the quality of their products and how it actually affects the consumers of their product. So we know children have certain levels of vulnerability, and it is in the first instance up to parents, yes, because I know some would argue, well, why aren't the parents doing...
That was my next question. That was my next question. So fine, you can throw that in.
But then also the state, because you can say, you know, parents can protect the children physically, but you also have laws to protect children physically as well. And just because we do not see mental and emotional health, but we see the body, doesn't mean we shouldn't take the due care of our inner world, because we all live from that space. So, as I said, I welcome the law.
You welcome the law. Do you think it's this, because this is first of its kind, California is making this first step, you think other states, you think it might,
It's difficult to say, because I know that California, you know, they can be quite bold with some of their laws. I've come to understand. But what I do know is that obviously if the companies are forced to to refine their product to be able to comply with the laws of California, they're hardly unlikely to have one product for California and another product for everything else. So it essentially raises the floor of their products.
Cool. Something a little less contentious, the social media, number of companies coming together to say they're going to try to limit extremism and violent content. I take it you're in support of that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Though the terrorists will think it is indeed a contentious move, so it depends.
There is something. YouTube said it would expand its platform to remove violent content, even though that violent content from whoever posted it has no affiliation with any terrorist group. So, I don't know, maybe if a coconut falls on someone's head and you film it, I don't know what qualifies as that, but what do you think? What do you make of that?
I think that they're going to be reasonable because of the nature of their business. But I also think that it is their platform, and they should be able to say what they will and will not tolerate on their platform. And it's the same thing. You can have freedom of speech, but I can choose whether or not I air your free speech on my platform or not.
Gotcha. They also want to expand literacy, put out literacy campaigns for young users. Do you can that, and this is on the part of the companies, can that be extended to schools since we're so digital in today's day? And we're just talking about education in our last segment a moment ago. But yeah, so can curriculums be upgraded to include these media literacy studies that can help users? Well, what do you think? Was I asking too much?
Curriculums can be. Would I want YouTube and Facebook to be the sponsors of this new curriculum? Personally, no. The skeptical part of me would think that they would shape it to suit them.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they're the same ones that the California are setting laws to actually protect our children against.
Right. Interesting stuff. Okay, I also want to get to the European Union and this new Cybersecurity Act. It's a draft act. Let's put it up. I think we have it up, where they are saying that essentially the companies have to be responsible for smart devices, and it's almost any device connected to the internet must be assessed for cybersecurity risks. And then, the EU, they're good on fines. I mean, 15 million euros or 2.5% total global turnover. What do you make of this draft?
So remember, the fines are up to.
Right.
So they're not absolute. Again, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be reasonable. And part of it is, first of all, it's going to be, it will come online, so to speak, in about 2 years. And there are essentially two aspects is, compliance in terms of before you launch products, making sure that the risks have been mitigated. But then when risks are identified, correcting them very quickly. So from the little I've seen, it does not seem like they're going too far or going overboard. And we've got to remember, so here's an interesting thing. Last week we were speaking about cars, the automated cars.
Right.
And you asked whether or not So I posted it on my Instagram, and somebody commented, it's like, what if it's hacked?
Oh, good question. Right.
So these cybersecurity risks are very real, and you can have these devices in your home, and you want to know they're safe, just as the same way you want to know the toys that you're playing with are safe, or even the non-internet related products that we take. We want to make sure that our vacuum cleaner is not going to turn around and chase us.
Right.
So these are real risks, and they must be addressed.
And so I guess it looks like it's a sign of the times, because do you think, again, the EU is pushing forward with this, whether or not other climes adopt it, putting their responsibility on these companies? The more digital we get and the more we advance, are we going to see possibly more of this on other continents?
Absolutely. My view is that as new risks emerge, new frameworks will have to be developed to ensure that we are mitigating those risks. I
remember last week when I asked you about the robots, you said just unplug.
I told you, turn off the internet, turn off the electricity.
You shouldn't face that risk. But so again, I think the theme for what we've discussed today is that you still have the opinion that the responsibility here lies with these firms. Since they're making money from all these products that they're selling, their responsibility must increase to make sure that everything that they're safe, from the platforms to the devices and so on.
Absolutely. They already do that or have that obligation when it comes to non-internet related things.
Yeah.
And so it has to extend to other products and other services.
Fine print doesn't count, where they tell you to, when
was the last time you read the fine print? I thought I smiled when they said about privacy rules, etc., making sure that children can read it, which is great.
Yeah.
It is true. But when was the last time you read it?
Anyone read any fine print? All right. And so, but back to the California issue. There was some talk that there might be lawsuits. It might be challenged. Do they have the right to challenge this, though? It's law now.
Well, has it? Well, let's put it this way. You always have the right to challenge. Whether or not you will win is a different part.
Right.
It's a different matter. But absolutely, they should be able to challenge it. And it might be more about refining the laws. But I think the very spirit of the law, personally, I think it's difficult to fault.
Do you think big tech companies have a target on their back?
Nah.
No? You have no? Because they're getting fines left and right.
Because
right.
they grew and they evolved and they innovated faster than... You want to say something?
No, go ahead. Finish your
faster
point,
than the laws could catch up, and
Right.
now the laws are having to play catch up with them.
Are they too big? And can they get bigger? Because it seems where they're going, essentially, the tech companies.
What is too big? How do you define too big? As long as they are being held responsible and we're making sure that the risks that they pose are managed, what is too big?
That's a great question. We'll leave it there. It's fascinating stuff. I find it incredibly fascinating. CEO of Alpha African Advisory, Sanyade Okoli, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Appreciate your time.